The 2005 film, Batman Begins, is the first iteration of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy, working alongside cinematographer Wally Pfister and editor Lee Smith to enhance the neo-noir elements of the popular comic book character. The story follows Bruce Wayne, who after the traumatic death of his parents when he was young, he's consumed by guilt and revenge to rid Gotham City of crime. After disappearing to the east, where he seeks counsel from the dangerous ninja cult leader known as Ra's al Ghul, Bruce returns home to a decaying Gotham City overrun by organised crime and dangerous individuals. With the discovery of a cave under his mansion and a prototype armoured suit, Bruce Wayne takes on a new persona as Batman, who will strike fear into the hearts of criminals. The film is a mix of realism, formalist and classicism style, and this is especially prominent through the stylized elements found within its genre, neo-noir. Creating Batman Begins as neo-noir, the modern adaptation of the 1940s to 50s film noir genre, was a stylistic choice made by Christopher Nolan due to the noir elements that were already explored in the comics. The central characters of the neo-noir genre remain flawed and morally questionable in order to keep with a more realistic and restricted palette. This is explored in Batman Begins through Bruce Wayne's character, who takes justice into his own hands depending on his own, often questionable, moral compass. Like the greatest of noir heroes, Bruce Wayne is not driven by heroism but rather by his guilt. Despite the audience being encouraged by the narrative, cinematography and editing to root for his character, Bruce fits the mold of the stereotypical neo-noir characters. However, in contrast to the genre's tropes, instead of succumbing to his fates as a film noir protagonist, Bruce emerges victorious by constructing new identities that deny the objective world. Having come from the world of independent film with modest budgets and guerrilla filmmaking techniques, Christopher Nolan's first Hollywood blockbuster was Batman Begins. His familiarity with an auteur style also influenced his decision for a neo-noir take of The Dark Knight. Nolan had previous knowledge and experience on the aspects of classical film noir and took influence from both film and neo-noir classics of the 1980s, particularly Ridley Scott's 1987's Blade Runner, and many of Michael Mann's works such as Heat and Manhunter. Batman Begins used a multitude of unusual camera angles, dark lighting, and a story of crime and violence, combining nearly all aspects of the neo-noir genre, including that of big cities, mafia, corruption, and fear. These elements made the film become a huge success, while also allowing the film and neo-noir genres to gain popularity again after nearly 70 years. Nolan's reworking of noir has helped commoditize the genre into appearing more Hollywood mainstream for audiences, allowing the movie to reach a larger target audience. His new vision of noir has configured the genre into a significant staple for Hollywood filmmaking. Cinematography isn't about telling the story, it's about how the images are captured to enhance the director's vision of the film. It is critical for supporting and setting up the overall mood and visual narrative such as neo-noir, so the cinematographer must be able to work well with the director to create good cinematography. Neo-noir, while stylized, can reflect a very real representation of the world. Pfister states that Chris wanted the film's visuals to come from a very real place. He felt the settings should reflect the psychological underpinnings of a dark character who's driven by tragedy in his life. With that goal in mind, we tried to create a unique urban environment, something much different than what appears in the other Batman films. Wally Pfister has previously worked with Christopher Nolan on a neo-noir genre film, Memento. This boosted his knowledge in stylistic decisions when working on Batman Begins. Pfister believes that good cinematography should not involve excessive amounts of special effects or green screen, and this is displayed through Batman Begins, where the film sets, locations, and stunts are all created using real places and a careful use of the cameras. Nolan's vision for Batman Begins was a gritty and naturalistic approach. He wanted it to be dark and rough rather than the glossy, stylized look of superhero comic book films. So through Pfister's amazing cinematography, a well-known comic has been transformed into a realistic neo-noir film, using a mix of realism, classicism, and formalism styles to appeal to wider audiences, thus hitting the Hollywood box office and winning the ASC award in 2006. Editing techniques are integral to develop the genre of a film, and in the case of Batman Begins' neo-noir elements, this is especially prominent. The use of low-contrast color grading, slow-paced cuts, and minimalistic amount of music, editor Lee Smith utilized a level of realism in order to create the film's neo-noir atmosphere. Furthermore, with Nolan's sudden decision in utilizing the IMAX cameras and to not use temporary music during post-production, Smith used varying degrees of editing techniques and experimentations in order to produce the final result. To quote Smith, Primarily, you want the audience to follow what is going on, but it also has to be exciting and to have a point. It has to move the narrative forward, otherwise it is just meaningless action, and that gets boring real quick. This realization encouraged Smith to include 2 unique editing techniques into the production of Batman Begins, one of which includes smash cuts, an abrupt transition between 2 oxymoronic shots, dramatically shifting the tune of the movie. Smith's love for cross-cutting between multiple shots simultaneously, smash cuts help those high-intensity montages to remain memorable among audiences, with immediately cutting from fast-paced action to a different low-intensity shot. Realism was used for the fight sequences to further show neo-noir thematic elements. According to Board and Shawmuten, the perspective of film noir is realistic, and Smith's editing techniques ensured to follow this. Long shots were especially prominent during fight scenes, drawing out the shot before cutting, allowing the audience to gather more accurate information and the dynamics of the characters and their environment. Through the collaboration of Nolan, Pfister, and Smith, Batman Begins' neo-noir elements were produced through the combination of stylistic components such as realism, formalism, and classicism, with the importance highlighted on unusual camera angles, realistic action sequences, and elaborate set and costume design. Nolan was able to produce the most memorable and most successful version of The Dark Knight to date.